And welcome everyone here to News Now. If you were watching over the weekend, you saw on the media reports that the Silverdome implosion did not work, as it is still standing at this hour. They're going to try another opportunity in about 3 minutes. So we're going to watch as hopefully they are able to knock this down. You're watching here live on the Fox 10 and News Now stream, well as Fox 10 Phoenix Facebook Live. Let us know where you are watching from, as we are streaming all over the world right now. Thank you to all our viewers. I'm going to put up a two-shot and show you what it looked like over the weekend. That just didn't seem to work out. We're going to show that to you in 1 second here. Okay, bottom right will be from over the weekend that didn't work. Take a look. And so there you go. You saw the charges ignite, but nothing came down. So that's what it looked like over the weekend. They're going to give it another shot here at the top of the hour. We'll have it for you live right here on the News Now stream.
And I have here with me, to my left, is Jane Baez-DeSessa, who is the Deputy Mayor of the city. And to my right is Rachel Laughlin, who is the Economic and Community Development Director of the city. We are here this afternoon on the day after, the day that was to be the start of the Silverdome demolition, which is still going to occur. But as you well know by now, it didn't go off yesterday, at least from a demolition contractor standpoint, the way it had been advertised. And so some of you had questions about what were the next steps. So just to recoup, we are here today on the fact that many of you still had questions. This made interesting news. And we were here because we had been in contact with a demolition contractor, a contractor known as Adamo Group. And they had contacted me this morning to say that they were meeting and that they would have an update and would be here to report that this afternoon. Since talking with them, and this is late breaking news as I'm looking at my cell phone, we have been in contact with the owner's representative from the Silverdome. And as you know, the Silverdome is now owned by Triple Properties, a Canadian-based company that has been in ownership of the Silverdome property ever since it was auctioned to them by the emergency manager, Fred Lieb, some years ago. And both of the president of the Adamo Group, Rick Adamo, as well as the vice president, Rick Cupertelli, tell me just about 5 minutes ago that the owner had put a gag order on them to discuss the further steps, and so they would not be here at this press conference. So I will proceed with what I do know, kind of recoup what the current situation is, and then allow you to ask questions. And after that, we will refer any questions that I can't answer to directly to the Adamo Group or to the representatives of the owners, the Apostolopoulos family. So to begin, I will read for you a revised press statement that was issued yesterday afternoon. This was done by myself and dated December 3rd, 2017. It begins, "It was great to see so many people who came out to witness what was expected to be a partial implosion of the upper metal ring of the Silverdome as the start of an estimated 9 to 12-month process of demolition. The camaraderie among the former Detroit Lions players, business leaders, government officials, as well as many residents sharing their memories of the Silverdome was exciting to see. This demolition is being planned and executed by the Adamo Group, the demolition contractor that was hired and will be paid for by Triple Properties, the Silverdome owners. The December 3rd start date was part of a consent judgment from a lawsuit that was brought by the city to ensure that the owners would timely demolish the vacated Silverdome. Although we're waiting for a final assessment from the Adamo Group, we have been informed by them that 8 shape charges did not go off on the main columns. Only the kicker charges detonated, causing the implosion not to be completed as planned. The Adamo Group will provide next steps for the continuing demolition of the Pontiac Silverdome. When the demolition is resumed and completed, development of this valuable property will be one of the economic opportunities that are marking a new era for the city of Pontiac." Now that was issued yesterday. The haze of smoke that went off like a halo around the Silverdome. As we waited for that, which we were told was a 6-second process, with the falling of the metal ring, we noted that the metal ring did not fall. So I know that since then the Adamo Group has sent out their engineers, their blasters. We left there maybe 45 minutes ago and did see some of the engineers still walking around the perimeter of the Silverdome balustrade there, trying to look for the wiring. And that was one of the processes that they were going to consider to put in place. So unfortunately, they are not here, and maybe that means that they've either changed the plans that they had thought they had come up with this morning, or that they're not yet ready to make that final decision. But one way or the other, we know that the metal ring disassembly was just part of the process. It was just a artificial start date for people to come and to have this final tailgate party. But it will be followed, of course, by the fact that the Silverdome will be demolished in terms of the consent agreement that we have with the owners. And it was just resilient enough that it's lasting another day. And as various people were sharing their memories, I said, well, it's a grand old structure there, iconic, and maybe it's harder to take down than they had really realized. And that's kind of symbolic of Pontiac. You know, we had gone through some very rigorous times. We have pulled through that in a great fashion. You know, we're back on our feet again, have come out of receivership, have much economic and community development that's going on. We're proud of what we've had to strengthen our neighborhoods, the fact that we're bringing in, we're attracting businesses, now becoming a high-tech hub as we're emerging from that. And so that's the resilience of this city, that we are serving all the citizens of Pontiac, and we're proud to be the county seat of Oakland County and part of this prosperity of Oakland County. So that, for us, as we sit here as leadership.
And there we go. It is now a collapse. So they were able to get it done right there, taking a live look at that. as they were able to. Now, second time was indeed the charm here for the Silverdome. A retry worked out, and for those of you watching right there on Fox10Phoenix.com and Fox 10 Phoenix Facebook Live, it was a good collapse right there. There you go. As the dust settles there, what they wanted to do is have a partial collapse. They wanted to knock down the top section of that Silverdome, and it was a success. For those of you maybe just coming onto the stream and didn't get to see it, let's show you the implosion a couple of times here. This is just moments ago. All right, I'm taking you back out live here at the Pontiac Silverdome, which what once was Pontiac Silverdome. Taking a live look here of that partial collapse. That's what they wanted to do, is knock down that second tier, that second level. Silverdome is located in Pontiac, Michigan, suburb of Detroit. The stadium was demolished for, well, the second time was a charm on today. It opened in 1975 and sat on 127 acres of land when the stadium opened, and featured a fiberglass fabric roof held up by air pressure. The first use of the technique in a major athletic facility with a seating capacity of 82,000 plus. It was the largest stadium in the National Football League until FedEx Field, with a 91,000 capacity in suburban Washington, D.C., opened back in 1997. It was primarily the home of the Detroit Lions of the NFL from 1975 to 2001, and was also home to the Detroit Pistons of the NBA from 1978 to 1988. In addition, the Silverdome was also served as the home venue for the Detroit Express of the North American Soccer League and the Michigan Panthers of the United States Football League, as well as two college bowl games, the Cherry Bowl and the Motor City Bowl, In 2012, the Silverdome served as the home venue of the Detroit Mechanics of the American Ultimate Disc League and hosted the league championship game that season. The stadium was a regular concert venue and hosted a number of athletic and non-athletic events, including WrestleMania 3, with an attendance of over 93,000 people, and was also early round games of the 1994 FIFA World Cup. Also hosted the 1979 NBA All-Star Game. After the opening of Ford Field back in 2002, the stadium was left without a permanent tenant. It was first closed in 2006, but after multiple attempts to solicit redevelopment plans, the city sold the stadium at auction in 2009 for only $550,000, less than a tenth of the cost to build the dome. It reopened in 2010 and hosted several events, but closed again by 2013. The roof was destroyed by a winter storm in 2013 and has since been seen in pieces around the inside of the stadium. Owners auctioned the stadium's contents back in 2014 with no future development through June 2015. This year, the Silverdome was condemned and prepared for demolition. As we all know, an attempt to partially implode the stadium occurred just yesterday, but was hindered by the failure of multiple charges to detonate. And today, we did see the stadium successfully demolished there on that top tier. The idea of a major sports complex was part of a dream of C. Don Davidson, a Pontiac, Michigan native and star high school athlete. Davidson, upon graduating from Pontiac Central High School in 1947 and completing active duty with the U.S. Marine Corps, attended North Carolina State University on a football scholarship. After earning a master's degree in urban planning and architecture, Davidson began his career as an architect and was recognized for several government and city projects throughout the South, including Florida's Jacksonville International Airport. He returned to Pontiac in 1965 and was shocked to see the deterioration of the city of Pontiac and its lack of future plans. Davidson embarked upon what would eventually become an obsession for him to see his beloved city succeed. From 1965 to 1966, he was hired as a professor of architecture and urban planning at the University of Detroit under the direction of Bruno Leon. As part of an ongoing comprehensive study by his architecture class on urban renewal for the city of Pontiac, Davidson met with various city and state authorities, including William Clay Ford, owner of the Detroit Lions, to discuss the possibility of a new stadium. And it also made it a college class project to find a suitable site for the new stadium, and even started his own weekly newspaper known as the Pontiac Times. As much controversy and sparring with Detroit city officials, Pontiac was chosen over several other sites, including the Michigan Fairgrounds, Walled Lake, and the Detroit riverfront as the best place for construction of what would become known as the Pontiac Silverdome. Already having a stadium concept as part of his master plan for the city, Davidson was interviewed and ultimately hired as chief project designer for the stadium project. Initial designs included a dual stadium complex for both football and baseball, potentially housing the Detroit Tigers. That was later scrapped due to high costs. Davidson was pleased to see a part of his vision for the city of Pontiac accomplished in the building of the 80,000-seat sports complex. Completed in 1975 as the Pontiac Metropolitan Stadium at a cost of $55 million, the Silverdome seated 80,000 people. It contained 102 luxury suites and 7,300 club seats. The original silver-like roof was built of Teflon-coated fiberglass panels and supported by air pressure inside the stadium. Although the roof has always been white in color as viewed with the naked eye, the stadium obtained the name Silverdome due to a silver-like reflection caused by the sun, mainly noticed from the sky. The roof was replaced by a new canvas fabric reinforced by steel girders after a strong snowstorm back in March of 1985. The 1985 repairs were needed by a collapse of the original 1975 roof around noon on March 4th, 1985. The largest crowd to ever gather at the Silverdome was back on September 18th, 1987 for Mass with Pope John Paul II, with a reported attendance of 93,682, just shading the record of 93,173 set at the Silverdome in 1987 for WrestleMania 3. Another notable audience attendance record had earlier been broken on April 30th of 1977 when the English rock band Led Zeppelin played in front of 76,000 fans at the Silverdome. This was, at the time, a new world record attendance for a solo indoor attraction, beating the 75,000 that The Who attracted there back on December 6th of 1975. And the Detroit Pistons also set numerous NBA attendance records during their time at the Silverdome. Regular season, 61,000 versus Boston back in January of 1988. And for the playoffs, 41,000 versus the LA Lakers in 1988. The Silverdome was also home to many marching band activities and events, including the Michigan Competing Band Association State Marching Band Championships until 2005, the Bands of America Regional Championships from 2003 to 2005, and the Bands of America Grand National Championships in 1987 and 1988. The Lions moved to Ford Field at the beginning of the 2002 NFL season when the World Hockey Association tried to reintroduce itself. The new WHA Detroit team was slated to play its home games at the Silverdome. Plans were also mooted for a Windsor-based Canadian Football League team, which could have used the Dome for possible playoff games, but that team also did not materialize. The Silverdome also hosted Monster Jam in 2006 and was used as a practice facility for the AFC champions Pittsburgh Steelers when the NFL adding field turf was later donated by a local high school. You are now taking a live look here of the Silverdome collapse. It happened second time, indeed the charm. They tried yesterday, didn't quite work out for them. They got what they needed to do today, destroy that second tier and drop it on down there. Thanks to all our viewers watching worldwide here on the Fox 10 and News Now stream or to fox10phoenix.com. Let us know where you are watching from. We appreciate you. All right, folks, just checking on some unique popular culture facts here from the Wikipedia page for the Pontiac Silverdome. On November 25th, 1997, in a Season 7 episode of Home Improvement, Tim Allen manages to black out the entire stadium during the Detroit Lions' annual Thanksgiving Day game. Silverdome also appears in Transformers: The Last Night, the 5th installment in the Paramount film franchise. Crews began filming back on June 20th of 2016 and shot in the area for about 8 weeks. The movie was released at theaters this year of June. And the most lucrative concert to play at the Silverdome in all of its history took place back in 1984. It was a 3-day event in the summer of 1984. Can anybody guess who had the biggest amount of sales during that 3-day stretch? What was the band? I'll give you a moment to think about it. Think about it. 1984. Who could continually sell out 3 days at the Silverdome? 143,000 tickets were sold during those 3 days. And the answer? The Jacksons. It was their victory tour, and they grossed $4.3 million. All right, now we told you the band that got the biggest draw. Let's tell you about the band that had the least revenue generated here at the Silverdome. And this was back in 1979. I'll give you a moment to think about it. It's a band. It only generated $453,000 for the evening. Now, I say only. That's still a lot of money. I know. But only 36,000 tickets were sold. When a place like this could hit up close to 75,000, 80,000 at max here. And the least revenue generated band back in 1979, folks, was the Bee Gees. Bee Gees. They had a supporting act of Sweet Inspirations. This was the Spirits Having Flown tour, generating $453,375, making it the least in revenue. After the Lions' departure, the city of Pontiac began to experience several years of serious financial problems. And due to the continued high maintenance cost of the structure, it made several unsuccessful attempts to sell the stadium. In early 2008, United Assurance Company made the highest purchase offer to date with a bid of $18 million to convert the Silverdome into a Hollywood-style entertainment complex, following an earlier bid of $12 million by an attorney. However, the city announced in October of 2009 that the property would go to auction with no minimum bid and that zoning regulations would be relaxed for any buyer in order to spark development. The city engaged the firm of Williams & Williams to conduct the auction in November of 2009. After reading about the auction in a newspaper, Greek-born Canadian real estate developer and CEO of the Toronto-based Triple Properties Incorporated submitted a winning bid of, get this, $550,000. Real estate fees of 6% raised the price to $583,000. The sale of the Silverdome, completed in 1975 at a cost of $55.7 million, approximately $225 in 2012 dollars, and also sold in 2009 for $583,000, was viewed by many as a symbol of the collapse of real estate prices in the Detroit metropolitan area, though many local leaders and residents claim the sale was brought about due to the incompetence of city management and their not having a vision of future plans for the stadium and surrounding area. In March of 2014, the owners announced that they would be auctioning off the contents of the facility, including seats and fixtures. Afterwards, in October of 2015, it was announced that the Silverdome would be demolished in the spring of 2016, and the area would be part of an Oakland County, Michigan mixed-use development. Demolition was then scheduled for December 3rd, 2017. We all know what happened. We all know what happened yesterday. In June of 2016, fire caused by arson destroyed the former press box. The parking lot is being used as storage for hundreds of VW diesel cars. And the dome owner and the city were in conflict over the condition of the dome. And we all know what happened yesterday. In 2017, the Silverdome was condemned and cleared for demolition. The firm contracted to handle the demolition, the Detroit-based Adamo Group, also imploded the Georgia Dome in Atlanta on November 20th before moving on to the Silverdome. The demolition of the Silverdome was to commence yesterday with a partial implosion of the upper deck, followed by excavation of the building from the inside out. However, due to a wiring issue, 10% of the explosive charges failed to detonate, and the demolition team planned to use excavators or the unexploded charges to perform a second attempt, and that's what we saw today. And for those of you maybe just coming onto the stream and didn't get to see that collapse happen today, and let's show this to you about 20 minutes ago. And back out live here for you. Well, looks like helicopter might be leaving there, but this is from moments ago.